All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Those who have joined us, I am James, obviously. So we are now at our second episode of Technobabble Sessions. So we actually did a first episode. We actually did it live on YouTube the last time, and we spoke about Intel versus AMD. For today's topic, we're actually going live on Facebook. All right, so I'm just trying stuff out. I really don't know which one's gonna work better for me, but at least this way, I'm gonna go live on Facebook. However, I'm also going to have this available on YouTube. Right, so after this show is done, I'll put the video up on YouTube very soon. All right. So for today's topic, we're gonna talk about the rise of budget and mid-range smartphones. And of course, I'm not going to do this by myself. We are here joined by my very good friend Kai. Say hi, Kai.
Hey, what's up, people?
All right. Yeah, so Kai is a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. How long already?
Way too
Too long. Okay, and some of you might not know, we are actually, okay, no one's gonna know apart from our friends, but we are actually army buddies. We both, we didn't serve national service together, but reservists we were together lah. Yeah, for many years.
We were unified under one very big villain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And another cool thing is, a lot of people don't know, is that when I started my channel last year, July 2019, right? It was actually this guy right here. So this guy, Kai, is the one that gave me a lot of advice, encouraged me to start it up, and I haven't regretted it since, or at least regretted it so far. No regrets. Okay. But yeah, so if you're looking at the man who started it all, the man who encouraged me to do it, and the man who has been on YouTube way longer than I have is Kai. And if you look under his name, that is the name of his channel, TicTechToe. So do go check it out. He does a lot of awesome reviews, and it's not just him. You've got two other friends, right? They are also really cool.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw your other one about Shopify.
Oh yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a lot of really good information. So guys, remember to check out TicTechToe. Remember to subscribe. A lot of awesome tech reviews as well. Did I miss anything out, Kai, before we start?
Yeah, I think you're giving me too much credit lah, bro.
No, I don't think so. No, not at all. But anyway, all right. So let's get started now. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about the rise of budget and mid-range smartphones. And while we are talking, okay, so before we even started this show, I asked around for questions. Any questions, and even for Kai as well. Kai's been asking around if any of your friends had any questions. And we've compiled quite a fair bit, actually. We're not going to go through all of them because some of them, I think once we are done like speaking about it, some of the questions will already be answered. But yeah, so we will be addressing some questions that have already been asked. At the same time, if you have a question while we are chatting, feel free to drop a question in the comment section and we will get to them as soon as we can. All right, so Kai, for both of us, we've had the privilege of reviewing quite a few phones. I remember seeing some of your Vivo reviews. What else? The Realme one as well, right?
Yeah, there was one Realme.
Yeah, so I've also had the privilege of reviewing quite a few phones, and I've also reviewed like the Asus ROG phone, which I guess can be considered a flagship. Some people might disagree, but basically it is flagship. One of the reasons why flagship is because it has flagship price, right? So we're looking at some of the prices of phone nowadays. I think the biggest culprit is iPhone. Like the iPhone Pro 11 Max is what, 2002 Singapore?
My God.
It's insane. It is more expensive than laptops. It's half the price of my freaking computer.
Daylight robbery, bro.
Yeah, I mean, okay, daylight robbery is a bit debatable, and I would agree, but I'm sure there are some reasons for it. Whether we agree with it or not is not really the point. But yeah, I mean, if you look back in 2008, all right, so 2008 was the release of the iPhone 3GS. Okay, and then the iPhone 3GS, when they released it at that time, you would call it a smartphone because there was a differentiating factor. There was the Nokia phones. Some of the Sony Ericsson phones, the Siemens phones that were sort of like the dumb phones at that time. And then you had the smartphone. The iPhone came out. 3GS. Well, 3GS was the third iteration, I think. Second or third iteration? Yeah,
third one, I think.
Yeah, and at that time, being one of the only smartphones available, All right, and I did some research and I checked on this. Okay, it's not just me speculating. The most expensive iPhone 3GS at the time was $299 US. That's it.
Are you serious?
A lot of people forget about this because now we're looking at $2,000 phones. The iPhone, which at the time was the pinnacle of smartphones, all right? In fact, do we even need to call them smartphones anymore? They're just basically phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to China and eat food, do you call it Chinese food or do you call it food? Anyway. Yeah, but yeah, so it was $299. And at that time, it didn't, like, a lot of people were like, no, it's not really expensive. You know? It was a good price. And at that time, there was no such thing as a budget smartphone. There was no such thing as a mid-range smartphone. All right?
No.
And then phones started to get more expensive. Like, okay, apart from the last 5 years, right, what was the most expensive phone that you ever got?
Wow. Okay. I think it would have to be, well, no surprises, an iPhone.
Which one? iPhone? Which iPhone?
I think it was iPhone 7. No, 6. It was 6.
iPhone 6.
Yeah.
iPhone 6.
Yeah, this is
That was one
OG.
of the first few ones with a more curved edge, right?
No, that
Still
one,
very boxy?
it got a bigger screen already.
Okay.
I think the last iteration before it went big was 5S, because my mother-in-law
5S.
still carries it.
Okay. Now a lot of my friends will notice that I have been very anti-iPhone. Okay? Not because they're crap, they are not. Okay? I'm not gonna go through that now. Okay, but I actually did have an iPhone once. I had the iPhone 4. So I've had one and only once, okay? So and I'm never getting an iPhone again. Now, I know people are going to start bashing me for this, okay? But yeah, I'm not going to talk about the reasons why I don't like iPhones. But, okay, so fast forward to now, okay? Or fast forward to maybe a few years later. Then you started getting the first few budget phones, right?
Yeah.
I remember one of the first few budget phones were actually not by Xiaomi. I think it was by Huawei.
Were they the first ones?
One of the first, I would say. Because the thing is, a lot of these cheap phones were only being sold in China at the time, and they never moved out of China. So like Xiaomi, Huawei, at that time Oppo already didn't exist, but the main ones, Huawei, they were the ones selling, they were only selling in China itself, and then they moved out, you know? But at that time, it was like, okay, I can either buy like a Samsung S3 or something, or I can buy a Huawei phone and save quite a fair bit of money. Okay, but then the experience was atrocious, and I remember this because one of my friends, and I think it was one of my reservist friends, and he showed me the phone, and I was using it, and it was horrible. First of all, the touchscreen was a really old technology touchscreen, not the capacitive ones capacitive. I don't know, the touchscreens that you have now. You actually have to sort of press it a bit. So it was sensors on the screen, and you actually have to press it, and it didn't it was really, really bad. So at that time, it's like, oh, you got no money, you can buy this, but the sacrifices are atrocious. Okay?
Yeah.
And by the way, at that time, it wasn't only budget phones that were atrocious. In 2008, I think around 2009, I bought the Samsung Omnia. Do you remember that?
Samsung Omnia. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They were not using Google Play, right, at that time?
They were not using Android at the time. So the Samsung Omnia used Windows' first attempt at mobile. They call it Windows Mobile 6.1, I believe.
Oh god.
And it was basically Windows on a small screen and worse. It was so bad that they say that, oh, you can use your finger, but no one's fingers were small enough. I mean, fine, I got bloody fat fingers, but even small, it's atrocious. And they give you this pen, okay?
Oh, there's pen.
They give you a pen. It didn't fit in the phone, so it would hang outside. You know? So you would have to use a stylus to have any sense of usability on the phone. And yeah, it's like, it didn't even look like Windows 95 or Windows 98. It looked like Windows 3.11 with the white background and the grey bar with, the blue bar with the grey X, to close the window, that kind of thing. That's how awful it was.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not even sure if Android was around in 2008, because a few years later, then Google released Android. Yeah. So basically the point I'm trying to make now is that the reason why budget phones have a rise is because at the start, there was no need for budget phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Was-
also because like it takes time for technology to trickle down and become cheaper. Yeah,
Ah.
you know, like you said your first one was the iPhone 6, right? At that time, do you remember what were your budget options?
There were a few, but some okay. My first iPhone was a 3GS, and that was a solid phone. You know,
Yeah,
everyone was
agreed.
wearing it,
Yeah.
and I just don't want to be left out. I was like,
Okay,
hey,
okay.
okay, this is like legit the first smartphone ever that has
Hmm.
been brought dawn to mankind, right? And fast forward later, I was handling a few Android phones, and I somehow succumbed to having an iPhone again.
I know how that
But
feels.
yeah, and then Android was rising again. So I thought, yeah, let's just ditch iPhone altogether. You know, just go for Android. And yeah, it's a decision that I've never regretted ever since.
So, what was your first Android phone?
My first Android phone was not a phone. It was actually a tablet.
Tablet.
Yeah,
What
it
was it?
was
What was it?
it was a Samsung Tab.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how was the experience? Do you remember?
Oh my god, it was garbage. It was awful. But to give them some credit, I was using it a lot for media consumption. Back then it was the downloading of all the videos and movies, right? And series.
Back then, yeah, I
And
totally
yeah,
don't do it now. Yeah, back then.
when Kazaa was, at its peak, when
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
LimeWire was at its peak.
Kaza, LimeWire, Napster. Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah. So yeah, it was mainly used just for media consumption. And when I remember bringing it to my workplace, and everyone was like, "What the hell is that? That's too big to become a phone," you know.
Yeah.
But it does support phone calling capabilities.
Hmm.
Weird because it was like this huge,
7-inch
and
screen, right?
yeah, it's as big as the side of my face. I mean the length. So if you
Okay.
put it, on side of the side of your face, you have to make a
So
call
your
out of.
first Android device was a tablet, but do you remember your first Android phone?
I think it was a Note 2.
Note 2. Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? I had a Note 2 as well.
Ah,
And that was the second phone, Android phone, where I had a good experience. The first one, and I hope I remember this correctly, it was actually a Sony phone. One of the first few Sony Xperia phones.
Xperia with the
Yeah, and the
cyber.
thing is, I loved it so much that I even bought the tablet. So I had a Sony Xperia phone
Ah,
and the Sony Xperia, I think it was Tablet Z or something like that.
ah,
And one thing
okay.
I love about Sony is that they've put in a lot of focus on design. And I tell you, and
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. If I were to take, if I don't have the tablet now, but if I had the tablet now, it would still look modern. That's how thin and brilliant it was. I mean, it had a very thick bezel, but I've always believed that tablets needed bezels. Otherwise, how are you going to hold it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're digressing about tablets. But yeah, so my very first good experience I remember was a Sony, and then I had a Note 2. I wanted to buy the Note 3, but it was too expensive. So we are getting there already. The point was too expensive. But at that time, it was still about 600, if I'm not mistaken, 600, 700. Still very cheap. 700
Mm.
is what we consider mid-range price now.
Yes, right
Yeah.
now, at least.
At this time, it's considered mid-range. That's when I bought the iPhone 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, what made you jump to iPhone?
At that time, I didn't have that much angst towards Apple. I don't know if admitting to all this is gonna hurt my channel, but anyway, I didn't have that much angst, and I'm like, you know what? At that time, right, no matter how much I enjoyed the experience of Android, there was still a lot of issues with the operating system. Still very fragmented. Still a lot of lag issues, lag spikes. When suddenly, or like very quickly, it would get slow.
Mm, mm.
But no matter what, on the iPhone, you very rarely had that issue. It
Yeah,
was very smooth. Like the iPhone 3GS would work just as well 4 years later.
yeah,
Every Android phone that I had in that period, after a year, it would irritate the hell out of me and I would have to reset it. You know?
exactly. No,
Yeah.
I was comparing the how snappy an iPhone was with maybe one of the latest Android phones. The Android phone don't hold a candle to the iPhone snappiness.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And actually, one of the questions that I had, I didn't write down the name of the person that asked me the question. Okay. Kind of similar. He asked like, why does the Pixel line always have issues when released? Apple makes their own phones and there are no issues. Google makes the Pixel, but there are always problems. Okay, and first of all, what you're saying is not entirely accurate, but I just want to make one point out of it is that iPhone makes their own devices. Apple makes their own iPhones. Okay, and at that time, iPhone 4, I believe they were still making in California. They haven't moved to China yet. I might be wrong in this. Okay, but I remember that they were still making and they had full control, not only over the hardware but the software. Okay, now Google, even though they have a Pixel line of phones, they don't make their own phones. Not a lot of people know this. Google got HTC to build the Pixel 1 and 2. Okay, and they for Pixel 3 they had Foxconn, which, if I'm not mistaken, is also contracted to make iPhones.
I haven't heard that word for a long time.
Yeah, so these are the ones, and you have to remember another thing. Android. So Apple only needs to make iOS for their own phones. Android has to be available for 100, if not thousands, different models of smartphones. So when you have that kind of issue, it's very difficult to have how do I say this? Oh, and not just different phones, but with different specifications. Some budget phones will have not as powerful chips. Some will have more powerful. That kind of thing. So because of that, you would have a good experience on a flagship Android phone. But as you got lower down the spectrum and you got cheaper ones, then of course you're going to get issues.
Yeah, sure.
But it's the same with Windows or any Windows laptop and all that. It's like, I can buy a $500 laptop, but I will get pissed off and throw it away after 6 months. I'm pretty sure. That kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the case maybe 8 years ago. All right. So fast forward to now. Okay. And I want to show this chart here. I'm just going to put that here now. All right. So, and I sent this to you already, Akai, because you won't be able to see it until like 20 seconds later on Facebook. But I sent you this picture already. Right. So I found this online and it shows the top selling smartphones. Okay. Split by region. And by the way, when I did this first episode, when I showed something, right, I forgot to add like audio. So now I tested it and the audio is working. But guys, if you're not hearing anything now, please let me know. It's only my second episode. There's still going to be mistakes. Okay, but okay. Anyway, so back to this graph. Now, apart from North America, so NAM is North America market. Okay.
I was assuming NAM would be Vietnam, but
actually, possibly. Yeah. No, but the North American market it is dominated by iPhones. Okay, I think it's a cultural thing. Maybe spending power. Maybe I'm not sure. But I'm guessing North America includes Canada, not just the US, I would assume. All right. But then you look at every single other region. Okay. Maybe another exception will be Europe, where the iPhone dominates second and third place. But other than that, Galaxy A50, Galaxy A10, Galaxy A40. Yeah. The A10 is a budget phone. The A50 is a mid-range phone. I think the A50 is like, 500, 600-ish? I can't remember though.
Yeah, but it's surprising, it's A10.
A10. And A10 is a $100+ phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you used it before?
Sorry?
Have you used it before?
I did a review of the A10. So what I did was I reviewed the A10 and I compared it with the Realme C2 because they're both around the same price. Very similar specifications. From the front, they look identical. Although, to be fair, nowadays a lot of phones look the same from the front. But yeah, so I wanted to compare the two, and they were very, very, very little differences. But they were dirt cheap. They were like 150. Sorry. The Samsung A10 was about 189, I think, at the time. And the Realme was, I think, about $30 cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, at that time, in terms of budget phones, I thought they were one of the best because you still got a smooth experience for a long period of time. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. Like, when it comes to flagship phones, as it trickles down, the technology trickles down, it makes mid-range and budget phones better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that time, when you first had the first Huawei phones, they didn't have technology to skimp off. They didn't have chips to take off, so they made their own stuff. So like the first Huawei phones were by the chips were MediaTek chips, which also at the start were disgusting. But now they are not bad.
Yeah,
They really
exactly.
are actually not bad. Have you had any phones like like a China brand phone?
Not anytime recently. I had a Xiaomi Note. I forgot which version was it. About 6 7 years back.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pretty good because number one is cheap, and
Yeah.
secondly the usability. It really works as a smartphone, and that's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
Yeah. And okay, I'm gonna go back to the graph again because just now they couldn't see us, so I'm gonna go back again. So yeah, every other market, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, the Asia Pacific, China, they are all dominated by budget and mid-range smartphones. So honestly, in terms of quantity, budget and mid-range phones are wiping the market. They're honestly dominating every single region except for maybe North America,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
incredible if you think about it. But at the same time, it's also nice in a way because if you think about it, it also means that now good phones are available to a much wider demographic.
Mm.
Like before, unfortunately, maybe 5 6 years ago, or maybe a bit longer, a lot of people couldn't afford phones, or if they could, it would be phones that are really really hard to use or horrible to use. That kind of
Yeah,
situation.
or not
Um,
non-smartphones actually.
yeah, maybe even not smartphones, right? Yeah. So, but it's really cool that we have that much. But apparently, according to some research that was done, and I forgot to take a screenshot. But basically, even though a lot of these brands like Samsung, Huawei, Oppo, all these other brands, they push out a lot of these budget phones. Their profit margin is lower than flagship phones.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Uh
so
huh.
percentage wise, they get a bigger cut from flagships,
Right.
but they sell more mid-range and budget phones. So my guess is percentage-wise, yes, they make a bigger cut, but in terms of actual cash that they get back profit, definitely budget and mid-range phones. Otherwise, they wouldn't be pushing it so much.
Yeah, they
It was
wouldn't.
only within the last 2 3 years, I think, when Samsung released the A line.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
actually quite recent.
it is very recent, and before that, Samsung has never been in that low market before. But obviously, there's money to be made, lah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But also, I think if they decided not to do that, the China brand phones will overtake their market. You
That's a
know?
very good point. I mean, if you look at Oppo, you look at Huawei, Xiaomi also to an extent. Now they also have flagship priced phones. I'm not going to say flagship phones, but
Oh,
flagship priced phones. Oppo has $1,000 phones. You have does Huawei have $1,000 phone? Not
Huawei.
sure.
Hmm.
Not sure, but
I,
yeah, even like Realme, one of the more budget. I think in my opinion now makes some of the best budget and mid range phones in the market right now. Their X50 is also quite expensive, but still not budget price if I'm not mistaken. But specs wise, it looks amazing. So it
hmm.
looks like even these brands are trying to get into every demographic price range, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but it just seems like no matter what, this budget and mid-range market isn't going to go away.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
True.
and I think one of the things that I find really nice is that before, when you had a flagship phone with new technology, it would take 2 to 3 years before you see something similar in a mid-range or a budget phone.
Mm.
You know, but some of the newer mid-range phones that are coming out now, like some of the Xiaomi phones, if I'm not mistaken, was it the Note 9 or Note 10, has in-screen fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, can you think of
Everyone,
any others? I know, like a lot of these new technologies. The punch hole camera was in budget phones like very quickly.
yeah. I remember Vivo to be the innovator for this in display
Oh,
fingerprint
it was
tech.
Vivo with the first one, is it?
Yeah. And yeah, everyone else is copying what they have brought to the table. But also, I think why there's this very high rise of all these budget phone is because of the features that any layman or any person wants.
Yeah,
You're compared to an iPhone. iPhone, you have all the bells and whistles, right? You got the design, you got the status, you got the entire package all put together. But do we really need all those things?
yeah. Good
Yeah.
point.
And yeah, and when it comes just to the bare bones on what we use every day, the camera especially. I think camera is like one of the more overly used feature in a phone, right?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Oh, your social media and everything, you
Yeah,
cannot
the
leave.
first question people ask about a phone is how's the camera, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And these days, they are fast replacing DSLR, compact cameras, right? The quality of the image reproduction and everything, it's really, really solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you own a budget phone with a decent or good enough specs for camera, you don't really need a compact camera or DSLR camera,
True.
right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think one thing that, okay, I've heard a lot of people say this. So when I say that I'm gonna do this episode, people are like, yeah, budget phones and mid-range phones are good, but they will never be good as flagship phones when it comes to the quality of the pictures. And yeah, I agree. To a point, it's actually absolutely true. But it's not a hardware thing. I think it comes to a certain point, after a certain price range, what makes a photo look better taken from a flagship phone is really computational photography more than the hardware.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
you see like some of the mid-range phones, what do they keep pushing? Megapixels. Oh, 48 megapixels. Oh, 64 megapixels. But then when you compare the photo to a flagship phone, you're like, no, it looks, the Samsung Note photo is better. Even the S series, whatever, Huawei, the Mate 40, whatever, P40 and all that, it still looks better.
Yeah, I totally
But
agree, man.
yes, yeah. But the thing is, they make a bigger profit on their phone. They put in
Yeah.
a lot of R&D into the computational photography in their cameras, in their phones, which then will trickle down to the mid-range and budget phones of the future. I mean, if you look at the pictures that I can take now with, for example, the Realme, which is the one that I did, the Realme 6 Pro, the one that I reviewed recently, it's only $499, okay? I can either buy a Samsung S20 or I can buy 4 Realme 6 Pros. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, a
But if
lot.
you look at the photo, it is not 4 times as bad. I
Yeah,
wouldn't even say it was half as bad.
for sure.
And the thing, it's one of those things where like, oh, they keep saying that it can get a lot better, but if you didn't have that comparison and you just took a photo, I promise you, you would be very happy with the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
like buying a TV. When
if
you
you're
go to
editing,
audio house, you get all these TVs, right? Then you're like, oh, this one very good, very good. But when you put it in your house, you don't have the comparison. You are still happy with it.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's an unfair comparison to compare to like $1,000, $2,000 phone. You know? So
Especially if your editing skills are brilliant, you don't need to worry about anything.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, you can get like, yeah, a decent spec lens on a camera. Your editing skills are brilliant. Don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the vlogs you have on YouTube, a lot of these guys, they will always tend to have one episode where they talk about their gear, their filming gear. And a lot of them are using mid-range phones. Like a very good friend of mine, Mike, who started a YouTube channel talking about his travels. He's using a Google Pixel 3a. But if you
Uh-huh.
look at his videos, the quality is excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, Google Pixel 3a it's an exception because even at that price, the photos that it takes are comparable to phones 3 times that price. But I could use another phone. Like when I review a lot of phones, when I take videos and I walk, I'm like, you know what? This actually looks really, really good. It is better value for the price than a flagship phone's high quality camera. Which, by the way, if you look at the media consumption of most people nowadays, it's on the phone. So when it's that small, sometimes you can't even tell the difference.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. You can. You really need some like well-trained eyes that have been in the industry for probably 2 decades to know what's
Yeah,
happening.
no, that's a very good point. Something I wanted to talk about. Like a lot of people will watch reviews, and of course, I agree with that. I do that as well. I would encourage it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around. But and then you get a lot of these guys like MKBHD, Linus, Mr. Who's the Boss. All these guys who review phones. These guys have seen and they've tested every single phone from 10 years ago to now. So their eyes are super sharp when it comes to this kind of things, and they're so well trained. So the comparisons that they make between these kind of phones, I feel like sometimes it's not entirely fair because they are so good at it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I saw them review one of I think it was the Poco phone, And they were saying that, the
Oh,
one weak point was the camera, which it was true. It wasn't as good. But I felt like even looking at the photos that they showed, it didn't look as bad as they said it was. It's
yeah,
really about the expectations, lah.
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to send those photos for any photography competition, right? Yeah, so you don't have to worry a bit about these kind of things.
Yeah. And it's quite funny. We've been talking about this for about what? Half an hour, exactly half an hour to the minute. Not once have we talked about the quality of phone calls.
Well, I might have something to add to your
Yeah,
point
yeah, yeah.
because no one calls people these days.
That's true. Unless you talk about WhatsApp calls, and even then it's very rare.
Yeah. Hey, but just to sidetrack a bit, ever since I've been working from home or people have been working from home, now there's a lot of video callings involved.
Like Zoom calls or like
Zoom
conference
calls.
calls, right?
Even for simple calls, me and my colleagues, we don't just text, we need to video call just to,
Really?
I don't know, it's just, I don't know whether to call it a simulation of the office or something, but it just is happening right now.
Well, I don't experience that. My wife gets a lot of calls from work, but not all of them are video calls. Like a lot of Skype calls, you got to pick up and answer the kind of thing. Excuse me, which is fine. But I don't get a lot of video call. But then again, I mean, my day job, my team is based around the globe.
Okay.
So we are very used to not seeing each other in the first place.
Yeah,
But that's an interesting point. I wonder why that is. Is it just a familiarity kind of thing? Or
possibly just to simulate that, we are all, in the working mode and we need to see each other to know and understand what we are talking about. I don't know. Probably is.
yeah, who knows? Okay, but
Yeah.
anyway, anything okay. One thing I wanted to ask before we go to questions is what kind of technology do you see in flagship phones now that you want to see in mid-range or budget phones?
Wow.
Is there anything?
I think taking from the latest iPad Pro, I
Okay.
really love their LiDAR technology. Their
What is that
LiDAR
exactly?
Sorry?
Isn't it the same thing that was on the Google Pixel 4?
It was, but it's not as good as the one that they've been showing on the iPad Pro. Those are wow. So any AR apps that you use, it's almost perfect.
The accuracy, right?
Wow.
Like I know I
And
saw some videos of like measurements and immediately it shows.
yeah. And people are trying to attribute this LiDAR detection to also 3D printing because you can get if you scan and everything, right? You can get the exact or maybe 99.9% accurate. And that saves a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so like Google thought of the idea first, I think with the Pixel 4, but the implementation of it was horrible. I mean, with the iPad Pro, you've already got thick bezels. You need that kind of bezel. So with that bezel, they can hide the hardware and that's needed. But on a phone, you ended up with a huge 4-head or 5-head. That's how big it was on the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4 XL. So it first of all, so it made it look older than it was. And then the implementation of it, a lot of people didn't like it. It didn't work all the time, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's not really about the technology, it's about the implementation of it. So I mean, Apple's one is really good. Kudos to them. That was painful for me to say, but anyway. Yeah, that's cool. And any other thing?
Not so much about anything else because I constantly see that they have been inputting all these flagship features into cramping into budget range.
It's already happening, a lot of it.
I think Oppo takes the cake for this one. Sorry, not Oppo. OnePlus. Sorry for that.
OnePlus. Yeah.
The cake for that one.
Actually, that's a good point. OnePlus are now recently with the 8 and 8 Pro. They are not flagship killers anymore.
Yeah,
they are now flagships. Even with the 7 and 7T, you were getting there already. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Like, hey, you're getting a bit too expensive. Careful. And then suddenly 8 Pro come out. Oops, they're flagship. However, there are rumors of a OnePlus Z. So it looks like they're going to come out with a mid-range. So that means they're going to start going into all the different markets again like every other brand.
Right.
And by the way, and I'm sorry, I forgot to send you this picture. I'm going to show to our viewers now. HTC, the brand that died apparently is making a comeback. Okay, and they posted this picture. Okay, save the date. Yeah, 16 June 2020. You will see in a few seconds on the stream. Yeah, and the thing is, their new manager or new CEO said that, they're going to come back and take their spot, with flagship phones and all that. And then the rumors coming out are quite crap. Apparently, it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 series phone.
What?
With an LCD screen. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? What flagship?
They gotta move on, man.
So even HTC is coming back. So it looks like there is still a lot of money to be made in the mid-range and budget. But anyway, so to my previous question, what would I like to see? There is one thing I would like to see, and so far there is only one budget phone that has it, and it is high refresh rate screen. Right now, the only one that has it is the Realme 6 and the 6 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love them for it. When I had the phone for a few weeks, I was actually really sad to give it back. Because the thing about high refresh rate screens is that it makes your phone look and feel so much faster than it is. Because it's so fluid, and then you swipe and you're like, hey, it's so... I feel like, I swear to God, I really felt like I was using a flagship phone. That's how good it felt. The only thing for me, and I was actually considering, I was speaking to my wife, I was like, I really love this phone. I think I might buy it. But there was one small thing that held me back, and all you viewers say you're going to hear this for the first time, okay? I am going to start a new YouTube channel. I'm not going to say for what yet. That will be for a future time. I will mention that. Kai knows, but Kai cannot say. I told him don't. But anyway, I'm creating a new channel in a few months' time, and the thing is, I wanted to keep that budget because there's going to be a lot more mobile in a sense. I'm going to be out of the house a lot more for that channel. And the video quality on the Realme 6 Pro is good. However, there are some software bugs that is a problem. Like, if you see my review, sometimes you take a picture, suddenly it goes overexposed. Even in video while I'm walking, suddenly it becomes overexposed and suddenly it's okay. It's trying to detect the light and adjust accordingly. So, but those are software issues that will be updated, in the future. It's not hardware issues. So that wasn't too much of a concern, but I thought, okay, I'm going to wait because I also wanted to see the Google Pixel 4a and see how good that was.
Oh, yeah.
They were supposed to put news in May. They got delayed to June. And now they're saying it's going to be delayed to July. And now they're saying it might not even happen. Because there are rumors that the Google Pixel 5 is going to be released third quarter this year. And and the thing is, apparently, they are not going to go flagship anymore. So the Google Pixel 5 is going to be sort of like a very good mid-range phone, or maybe in between mid-range and what do you call this, flagship. So some of the specs like Google Qualcomm 765 5G chip, that kind of thing. Oh wait, hang on. Before I carry on, I'm seeing the some of the comments here. Keith, I'm going to get to his one in a while. But someone that I know for a long time, Jack Ang, or as I used to know, Ming Tze, he's saying, hello, hi man, hope you are doing well. But anyway, okay, so because they're doing this, they might do away with the entire A line. But these are all rumors, and I don't know whether that's going to be the case. I hope not, because I really wanted to buy that phone. But anyway, so I want to see I really want to see high refresh rate phone. I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing it in the budget phones. The only issue with the Realme 6 Pro is that it was high refresh rate on an LCD screen. Once we get to high refresh rate on an AMOLED screen, that's it. I'm buying it really. It really gives you the impression that it is so smooth. Okay, and it gives you the impression that you've got honestly, it really feels like a flagship phone. And you don't feel like you spend $500 on a phone, because the satisfaction, that you get out of that phone is worth a lot more than that. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by Realme. I just really like the phone. Okay. So anyway, we have some questions, and guys, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to list them down. We will try to address them as much as we can. There was one funny question. Someone, one of my good friends, Keith, asked, what budget phone would you recommend for my parents? My father still thinks a monitor is the window to the internet. Actually, that's a really funny question, but it actually brings up a very good point. a lot of people are like, "Ayah, oh, uncle, auntie, don't need to buy smartphone." lah." But if you think about it, if you get them a phone with a really big screen, it makes it so much easier for them to see stuff.
Yes.
Like my mom, my mother-in-law, okay, she wears glasses and all that, and she used to have an old Samsung, the J series phones.
Oh.
Yeah, and she used it until like last year, which is actually why we bought the Samsung A10. So me and my wife bought that, and at first she's like, it's so big. But after that, she was so happy because she said, I don't have to squint my eyes anymore. The screen is so big. She got used to holding a big phone very quickly. And it's not that big, but I think by their standards, maybe it's a bit big. But it's so much easier now. She finds it a lot better to handle the phone. And it was so good that we decided to buy another one for my mum. But this time around, I bought the C2 because I thought, hey, just compare and see how they are. So I bought the C2. And in terms of performance, they're identical. But same thing for my mum. Last time when she had the old phone, she used to do this. She had the glasses. She would move it up and then she would like look. Now she doesn't need to do that anymore. So Keith, to answer your question, it's really about getting a good size screen, even though they might not be that happy with a big phone. But honestly, in my opinion, they get a much better experience and they don't squint their eyes as much. Okay? But anyway, okay, Kai, do you have a question that you want to ask first?
Yes, I have a few over here in my own live feed. Let's see.
Great.
I got a comment.
Yeah.
I have this YouTuber friend who's an expert in Xiaomi phones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's totally like, the guy.
Should have told me. I would have got him on the episode. But anyway.
Yeah, he said that Xiaomi wasn't the first to make budget phones, but
Okay.
they were the ones that pushed up the standards of the budget phones.
That's a very, very good point. Yeah, I think... Well, I don't know about bringing up the standards, but I think they made the most number of good budget phones. Because
they put budget phones on the map.
Yeah, because I remember like, even at the Funan, like before the Funan renovation days, I used to go and see all the phones there, and like you would see like 6 different models.
Yeah.
And you're like, they're all released at the same time, but the specifications, like they were slightly incremental between them, and then you choose, and then like $50 difference between the two. I still remember this at Challenger, you had like so many different, all these different ones. So, but yeah, that's a very good point. We don't know whether, and they're probably not the first, but they made, I think, the best and the most number at that time. And yeah, it definitely elevated the quality. Yeah. Any others?
Yeah, thank you, Wen Hao, for that.
Yes. What's his name? Wan Hao?
Wen Hao.
Wan Hao, thank you, man.
And I have my wife. Oh, okay. So she
I'm glad you have your wife.
over here, saying that Android phones lag behind with regards to compatibility with social media apps like Instagram. I've seen issues Instagram Live and others who were unable. I think she's comparing it with iPhones. Well, that's
okay.
true.
Yeah, that has to be. But okay, yeah. So this one, honestly, I behave a lot older than I am, and I'm already quite old, so I'm not very good with social media. I'll be very honest. So, like, what are the differences between like using Instagram on an iPhone and on an Android phone? Do you know?
I think it's the optimization issues.
So it's not features; it's bugginess.
Yeah, it's bugginess.
Okay.
That's as far as I know. I think because she handles social media every single day, that's like part of her job. So I think she notices more things than me.
Is she gonna run in, bang the door down and shout at you for getting it wrong, or?
I probably might have to stay or maybe different room.
But okay, so I think so that's another good point, and we all know how important social media is to everyone. So that's one interesting thing. I wish I knew what exactly the like specific issues were, because I honestly have no clue. I've been using Android phone I've only had that one iPhone. Other than that, it was always Android. I very rarely use Instagram, even though I've been told so many times by a lot of marketing people and social media people that if I want my channel to grow, I gotta keep using it, but I don't know how. But anyway, like for me, in terms of the features, I don't know what is different. But hey guys, if any of you know what Kai's wife means in terms of like features or bugginess, just drop a comment and we'll see. Then at least we can know what it is. Okay, so let me get one on my end.
Sure.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, it says, why don't they just use previous flagship chips on mid-range phones? That's a very good question. If you think about it, like for example, like, okay, my phone, this is the LG V30, or as I call it, the V slowly. It was good
What?
at first, okay, but I don't know why it just gotten very slow.
Wait, why do you have that phone?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. Okay, so I had the LG G3, and then I went with the V20, and then now the V30. Okay, the reason why I've stuck with it is because a lot of other brands were getting rid of the headphone jack. LG
Right.
were going the opposite direction. They were putting very good, what do you call that?
Deck.
DAC, yes. They have very good DACs on their phones, and it could drive the big headphones that I love to use.
Mm.
And I was always going wired because for a long time, wireless headphones were never good enough for me until I tried the Jabra Elite 85H.
Okay.
Before that, I'm like, everyone I try, I'm like, no, it still doesn't do it for me. But the Jabra was the first one, which is now why I'm slowly thinking that maybe, okay, I can do without a headphone jack anymore. But even then, now, like for example, Sound Blaster, you can plug in. They have these external decks that you can plug in, really good quality decks that you can plug into the USB-C port, and then you've got it as well. So now I'm like, okay, I don't need to stick with LG because LG, they are very good. They are pioneers for a lot of stuff that even other brands are using now,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't do it as well. Things like, another thing why I kept with the LG was because they were the first to stick ultra wide cameras, ultra wide lenses, which now Samsung and iPhone are marketing like it was their own genius idea lah. But LG has been doing it for years, and I've taken so many good pictures with it. But for some reason, again, I don't know whether it's just me after seeing new phones and then comparing to this, but I find that the quality of the photos tends to be great. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So that's I forgot what we we're talking about. Okay. So this has a Qualcomm 845 chip, which is now 2 generations down to the current 865. Okay. So that's a very good question. Like, why don't the mid-range phone just say, okay, I'll take the 845 and then put it on a mid-range phone and then sell it off? Because I'm sure they'll be overstocked. Right? Now, okay, this is what I know. I might be wrong on this, but when you use a Qualcomm chip on your phone, you have to pay a certain licensing fee and not just buy the phone, not just buy the chip. So you buy the chip in quantity, but there's also a licensing fee on top of that. Okay, and the cost of the licensing fees varies on the series of chips that you buy, whether it's a 6 series chip, 7 series chip, 8 series chip. Okay, so my guess is it is still too expensive and not worth the money, because if you look at the 7 series chips, 765, 725, when I use them on the Realme C phone and the Samsung phone and all that, right, they felt snappier than my 845. Because I think the optimization improvements that Qualcomm have made these sort of flagship phones redundant, old flagship chips redundant. That's my opinion. Maybe they just don't have enough chips and they don't want to make more old chips. That could be another reason why. That one I don't know. But yeah, guys, let me know if you know something else about this. But yeah, I think that's a very good question actually. And sorry, I forgot who put I wrote the question down, but I didn't put the name. Okay. So another one is, okay, this one is inevitable lah. Why do flagship phones cost so much? It costs more than my laptop. And that's true. Like I said, iPhone Pro Max, Pro 11 Max, $2,200. A laptop can be bought for $1,200 or $1,000. So, okay, what's your opinion, Akai? Why do you think they cost so much?
My opinion is that I think all these flagship phones, their specs and hardware and optimization is good enough for you to run your daily task, as good as what you are using on the laptop. Of course, not your heavy duty ones like photo editing, video editing, and all. Although you still can do that if you want to. There's no way that they can stop you, handling the latest iPhone to do your video editing, for example.
Yeah.
So to me, the latest flagship phone is as good as a mini laptop, and that is why they are selling at such prices.
Yeah. Very good point. I mean, that's one thing that I wanted to make a point of. Like, why do they cost so much? It really, if you think about it, there are some people nowadays. Phones have gotten so powerful, and my friend Mike is one example. That's the only media device he owns.
Ah,
So if that's the only media device you own, you would want it to be really damn
yeah,
good. Like there
yeah,
are some people who didn't buy a laptop. They didn't need a laptop. They felt they didn't need it. So they would buy like a Samsung phone and use Samsung Dex, put it on the screen.
yeah.
If they ever wanted a big screen.
Mm, mm,
So for someone who only has that one media device, paying that kind of money seems okay. Like for me, if I've got a PC, I've got a laptop, I don't need my phone to be that powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And another reason I feel that why they cost so much, number one is budget and mid-range phones, I wouldn't say steal, but they take a lot of technologies that were previously used by flagship phones. They don't have to do R&D.
Yeah,
Flagship phones, to get ahead of the competition, there is no predecessor, there is no better phone to copy.
unless
You
you are from
make your phone the best that you can. You put in the R&D to come up with some new technology, whether it may be really good, like an on-screen fingerprint sensor, or something stupid and gimmicky like the Samsung icon. The what? Like no, that what do you call that? Emojis? No, not emojis. Sorry. When they copied iPhone and you can have like a picture of yourself and use it
oh,
as an emoji. I forgot the name.
has something to do with AR lah.
Yeah, something. But anyway, so the gimmicky stuff, But
Yeah,
whether it's gimmicky or not, they cost a heck of a lot of money to do R&D. Okay, that's one thing. And when, like I said, they cost a lot of money, R&D costs a lot. They also know that in terms of quantity, they're not going to sell as many as their mid-range and budget phones. So they have to calculate making a profit out of the phone versus their projected sales.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, if I know I'm going to sell 2 million phones, how much does each phone have to cost for me to make a profit, whatever percentage profit that they want to make?
Right.
So that's a really important point. A lot of people don't see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of people they don't have to care about that. Joel, yes, it's called Animoji. Sorry, I just saw the comment. Yeah, Animoji. This is how much of an uncle I am. But anyway, yeah. So you consider all of that. That's why a lot of these phones cost so much. And that's why mid-range and budget phones can be that cheap, because there's very little to no R&D involved. You just take like, okay, so they did this. We'll just get the supplier, get that part in. Now that it's cheaper, we'll make it. And we'll sell it for much cheaper because they didn't spend the money on the R&D. That's all. So that's quite good. My wife also added emoji me face maker. Okay. I don't know what that is. Do you have another question you want to go at?
Okay, let's see. Are you concerned about the security measures of the budget China phones?
Ooh, ay. Are you?
For me, as long as I'm not using the apps that take in a lot of data, that requires a lot of permission from me to unlock, I think I'm fine.
We're talking specifically about China phones, right?
China phones. Yeah.
Not necessarily phones made in China, like China brands lah.
China brands.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this spelled out from maybe
Huawei's whole episode lah, I guess.
America war, and everything.
So you're
Yeah.
okay as long as...
Yeah. Most of the time I got my VPN on, so I'm not, I got my safety security measures in place. Not so worried, although I cannot be complacent. So
Yeah.
I just have to take note on things when happen.
Okay. For me, I would like to say that I'm that chill and easygoing as you. But I'm not, because like I said, I'm an uncle. But okay, for me, it depends on which China brand. And for me, it's got to do with whether they're connected to the Google ecosystem.
Right.
So when like for example, Xiaomi and Oppo or whatever, as long as they still utilize the full Google ecosystem, they are bound by Google security measures, as far as I know. Mm-hmm. So I have a bit more confidence in that. When you have Huawei, that now because of the Orange President's measures, okay, you know what I mean by Orange President, but anyway, they now have to remove the Google Play Store from Huawei, and now they are moving into their own operating system, which means they make their own rules. And despite what they say, I refuse to believe that they have no ties with the Chinese government. Right? It's my personal opinion. I don't know whether I'm right, but I find that very hard to believe for a company that blew up in the middle of nowhere, got money out of nowhere and blew up to the state they are now, okay, I honestly, personally, I would not buy a Huawei phone. I know they are brilliant phones, but there is a lot of major question marks for me when Huawei will now set their own rules for security. They control the phone at the root level. I'm not comfortable with. Not that I got a lot of things to hide, but I'm just not comfortable with that. I mean, if you look at the technology available now, there are a lot more things that they could do with your phone than steal your data. They might not be that interested with you, but there's a lot of things they can do with that phone.
Sure.
So, wow, that's a good question, and I think I didn't realize I have that much to say about it. Okay, let me look at mine. Okay, so simple one. What are the major players in this space? This is Mike's question. Okay, so what are some of the... Okay, we all know. So we got Huawei, we got Xiaomi, Oppo, now you got Realme.
Yep.
And by the way, so Realme is sort of like a subsidiary. I don't know if subsidiary is the right word, but they're basically connected with Oppo. And then you've got... What was connected with Huawei? I think we spoke about it the last time.
Honor, was it?
Honor, yes. So Honor kind of connected with Huawei. But I don't know whether Honor, they have to remove the Google Play Store or not. There's no word, right?
No idea.
No idea. So basically you got this guy. Samsung are now the major player because they decided to move to the market because they know there's money to be there. So Samsung A series are also really good phones. In my opinion, when you get to the A40, A50, I feel like it's slightly overpriced.
Uh-huh.
But that's my own opinion. But they're like the A10, 100 plus, A20, A30, very good value phones as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, by the way, part of this research, I went on Lazada and Shopee and I looked at some phones. Dude, there are some phones that are like $60, $70, $80 from China.
What?
Okay? I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you want to waste your money and go and buy that, go ahead. But I can tell you straight off the bat, you're going to be disappointed. Maybe what I should do, right? I should save up money because, by the way, my YouTube money, my YouTube channel, I don't make any money. But just for the fun of it, maybe I should buy a few of these cheap, like no brand phones, bring it in, and then open and see whether they're actually worth or not. That might be quite fun to do, Yeah.
Yeah, it would. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
But not forget iPhone's entry into the budget range.
Oh, the SE, right?
SE2.
SE2, sorry. So there's one SE before and now the SE2.
Yeah.
And what makes the SE special is that even though it's budget, not everything is budget. If I'm not mistaken, the chip in there is a really good chip. Is the A13? Is it or A12? I can't remember.
It's A13.
Yeah, which is impressive. And apparently the camera on the iPhone SE is also supposed to be really good, which makes me think that it's a direct competitor to the Google Pixel A line.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And even though it looks like my wife's iPhone 8.
Yeah,
it is probably the same body, and my understanding is a lot of the components are identical to the iPhone 8. But in terms of where it matters, like your camera and your APU, not CPU, for phones is APU, but it's incredible that they were able to get it to that price. So yeah. Also very, very good. So even Apple, the ones that will charge you $1,000 for a freaking monitor stand, are willing to go down that. I was surprised, honestly, because I always thought that they wanted to just make the band premium. If you make it premium, they will never bring themselves down to that level. But they know there's money to be made, so now you got the SE.
Exactly. But I think the only thing that I didn't like about the SE2 is the screen size.
Yes. That's why I say it looks like the iPhone 8. I don't agree with that. I think they could have... I'm sure they could have kept the price down, but get a bigger screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be AMOLED.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to increase it to at least 5 inches, I think I'll buy it.
Wait, buy 5 inches or 5 inches? What's the current the screen dimensions now?
It's less than 5. I think 4.7.
Wow. Okay, that is not even... Yeah, that's the iPhone 8. iPhone 8 Plus, I think, was the bigger screen. Yeah, so that's about iPhone 8, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's... Wow. Yeah, that's very small. So 4.7, 4.8, that's like... 5-year-old screen size?
Yeah. I don't know whether they are going to like have the retro vibe going on or not,
Yeah,
But
that's
it just doesn't work for everyone these days.
yeah, that's true. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're actually over an hour already.
Oh,
Do you have another question, a couple of questions that we can quickly address?
okay. I think this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Which budget phone is your favorite?
Oh, yeah. Why did we not even think about asking that?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So what what's yours?
For me, I I I think I'll be going back a year back, 2019. It was the Oppo phone. No, not Oppo phone. I keep saying Oppo. I don't know why. It
Vivo.
was the Poco phone.
Poco phone?
Poco phone.
Also, the first Poco phone.
Yeah, the first Poco phone.
Was this the one with like the flagship chip, or is that the Pro? Do you remember
Not the
what was
Poco.
the chip in it?
I forgot what was it.
When was
Forgot.
this?
This was, I think, early 2019.
Do you remember how much it cost?
Less than $500.
Wow.
And the hardware, I mean, it's running like almost flagship. That's how good it was.
Yeah, like what we've been saying, it's like the experience. Like you get this phone for 3-4 times less than a flagship phone, but you don't get experience 3 or 4 times worse. Not even half, not even a quarter. I think it's perfect for light use. Although, wait, let me think. If you're a heavy user, I don't know, because whenever I review these phones, we don't really put it to that much strain. We
Yeah.
do use it every day and like use it for work and everything, like for a week, and I just keep using it. But I don't like flood the phone with apps until it's full and then see how it works. That might
Yeah.
not be a fair thing to do, but anyway. So like, other than that, yeah, I really don't see an issue with that phone.
Right. Yeah.
So Poco phone, yeah, I remember the Poco phone. Okay, so for me, I would have to say the Realme 6 Pro that I reviewed, because I've had a few phones that I've tested already. The Samsung one, the cheaper Realme, the Google Pixel 3a that I reviewed with my friend Mike. The Realme 6 Pro is right now, I would say at that price range is at $499. The Realme 6 is I think $100 cheaper at $399.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't test that one, so I can't speak. And that one uses a MediaTek chip, whereas the 6 Pro is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720, I think. 720G. So the 720G has a slightly better graphics performance, I think. Yeah. But that phone, using it for 2 weeks, not once, apart from the buggy issues that I had with the taking the photos and the video, which, like I said, can be improved on software. Not once did I feel like I'm using a mid-range or a budget phone. And honestly, if you look at the back of the phone, like they've got two colors. They call it like a lightning blue and lightning red. The colors, I mean, the names of the colors are not exactly that original, but the most beautiful like phone back of any phone. And I'm including all flagship phones, because if you think about it, all flagship phones, they don't really bother so much about the back. It's always straight colors.
Yeah.
Whereas the mid-range and budget, they tend to put a bit more effort to make it look better. But the Realme 6 Pro, man, till this day, nothing looks better than it. And yeah, honestly, like now that I know that the Pixel 4a might not happen, I might just buy the Realme 6 Pro. I'm actually considering it now. I'm giving myself maybe another month before I decide on what phone to get. But yeah, I'm like so close to buying that phone, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. One last question before we head off.
Okay, let's see. This is actually a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you both do an episode where you both pick your best budget phone and do a head-to-head comparison, some sort of like a knockout challenge?
Ooh. So we do the video together, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Okay, that sounds interesting. That'd be quite fun, huh?
Yeah, it would.
We
I
have
think
to
we,
do it
we
like,
were planning
yeah.
to do a video together. It just didn't take
Yeah,
off.
yeah. From the time that I started my channel, I kept saying that we should do a review together. And I was thinking about it a few months ago, earlier this year. But then, coronavirus happened.
Yeah.
COVID happened. So, I mean, we can still do I film my side, you film your side, and then we put it together. Who knows?
Yeah. Or we could probably do on a Zoom.
Zoom call also. Yeah, possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. You know what? Let's try to do that. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, you would. Looking forward to that actually.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if that's it, that's the end of this episode, guys. Thank you so much for those who were willing to stay for the entire hour to watch. Thank you. And Kai, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. I really enjoyed the discussion. It really, really was very fun. It was
Thank
so
you for
fun,
inviting
man.
me.
Yeah, I like the idea about the video. Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, guys, we have Kai here from the YouTube channel, TicTechToe. Go check out his channel. Do subscribe. He puts out a lot of really awesome content. I'm James from Technobabble. I have a YouTube channel as well. You're watching this on Facebook, but this will also be on YouTube. So do go check that out. All right. So we
Please as well.
shall. Sorry.
Subscribe to
Yeah,
your
subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Kai. Anyway, we shall end the live stream. All right. See you guys. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.